Hey everyone, it's 6:30. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Megan Hill. I'm the community manager for the Anthem Country Club, and I will be moderating this event this evening. Thank you all for participating. Thank all of our candidates for your interest in serving your community. It's very much appreciated. I'm going to do a couple of quick announcements and then we'll get into the questions because I want to be able to give as much time as we can for those questions. Just a couple of reminders. The voting will begin on February 11th. That's Wednesday. We will allow electronic voting, and then you will also receive a paper ballot in the mail. If you don't receive your postcard or email for voting or a paper ballot, please contact our office after the 11th. We can assist you with getting you the voting information. The election will close on March 6th. We will verify the election on Monday, March 9th, and then later that week, we will announce the winners for both the Homeowners Association as well as the council. I'm going to go ahead and quickly give you some guidelines for tonight. We will have our candidates here. Each will have 2 minutes to provide introductory statements. Then I will ask a series of questions to each of our candidates, and they will have 1 minute to respond to those questions. We will go through and have an alphabetical order, rotate who starts, who's the first one to answer the question as we move through that list. You may notice we have two candidates that are on Zoom. So what I'm going to do, just to avoid too much delay, I'll go through alphabetical order for the candidates that are in person, go to our Zoom candidates, and then we'll move to the ACC just so that we can kind of keep the ball rolling there. We will be able to open to the audience for any additional questions after we get through our series of questions if time permits. And they will then have 30 seconds to respond to any questions from the audience. And then we will provide a 1 minute time frame for them to do a closing for their interest in running. We will be utilizing a timer during this process. So we have our team members, Maria Jackson and Heidi Hewitt here in the front row. They will be timing each of your answers and giving you a 30-minute warning. And then you notice that your time is up. 30-second warning, I'm sorry. You're going to have one question per person. So they'll give you the 30-second warning and then the stop sign letting you know that your time is up. We want to stick to those timeframes as we can. Obviously, we have a full slate of candidates here and we want to give everyone the opportunity to be heard and also respect that the building is closing. And so we want to make sure we can wrap up in a timely manner. I'm going to quickly just introduce for those of you in the audience who our candidates are. So for the ACCCA, Anthem Country Club Community Association, which is the HOA, we have 8 candidates. We had 9, we had 1 withdraw. So our 8 candidates that we have are Steve Champion, Chris Ensign, Bob Miller, Marissa Siebert, Fred Shipley, Stephen Taylor, and then on Zoom, we have Peter Cutbill and Vitaly Karasevich. For the council, the Anthem Community Council, which is the umbrella organization, we have 2 candidates running for 1 seat. That's Kurt Baker and Barb Patterson. So if we're ready, we will go ahead and get started here. We will give 2 minutes for candidate introduction. Steve, if you're ready, you can have 2 minutes.
Sure. Thank you, Megan. Well, good evening. Glad to see everybody here. I wish it was a larger crowd. I've been a full-time resident since 2004. My wife, Gail, and I moved here from Southern California. Please don't hold that against me. Since 2008, when the developer turned over governance of this community to the homeowners, I've been actively involved. I've had the privilege of serving our community in a variety of roles. Previously, I've been the president of this HOA. I've served as the vice president. I've served as treasurer. I've chaired the finance committee. And on the council side, I have worked on the finance committee for council, which is the umbrella organization of Anthem. I also served along with Barb Patterson on council's facility master plan committee. As far as the club operator is concerned, I've served on what they call their member advisory board. Through my service, I've become very knowledgeable about most aspects of Anthem, the community, its structure, our governing documents, its financials, reserve planning, and expectations placed upon the board, our committee members, and management partners in AAM. I've learned that good governance is about consistency, transparency, and listening. My key priorities, at least those that I see facing our HOA, are maintaining strong financial and operational controls, preserving and enhancing our landscaping, updating our reserve study, and managing our financial resources wisely. If elected, I'm committed to responsible stewardship, a cooperative but results-oriented management style, and open and respectful communications. Thank you.
Chris, 2 minutes.
Problem. My wife and I moved here in July of 2002, so we're approaching 24 years of service here. Educationally, I have a BA in economics and MBA in Masters in Business Administration. I began following my education, going to the U.S. Army for the Vietnam era, including that few years of U.S. Sergeant Fort Dix, New Jersey. I subsequently went into telecommunications industry, working for ACCCA, Bell System for 30+ years, concluding that career in Monterey, California, as the general manager of design and services. At that point in time, I retired from AT&T and helped them sell that division to Providence Equity Partners, and subsequently became president of that for a few more years. And then we moved here to Arizona. I have extensive financial, operational, personnel experience as president of the company. I've served here 2 terms on the board of directors of the HOA. I've served on the policy committee. I currently serve on the Gates Property and Control Committee. Going forward, I echo sentiments that Steve said in terms of priorities, the ongoing management of our community. And, I look forward to having an opportunity to serve them.
Okay. Bob, 2 minutes.
Yes, good evening. I believe that HOA boards should be run more like a business than a government. Government, why spends the money and turns around and pays for it by taxing the people. I want to run the HOA board as a business. And with that in mind, why the board needs to be a working board. Board members need to get their hands dirty in dealing with the assets of the HOA. My whole thing is management of the assets to smooth the expenses that will incur over the planning horizon. Right now, the reserve studies go to 30 years. You know what? Forecasting out 30 years. Anyway, why I'm all about trying to smooth out the expenses, which means that you don't have to have fees increases. I've laid out my background, by the way. I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, master's degree in mathematics, an MBA degree, and a PhD in business administration with an emphasis in statistical and mathematical modeling. So I'm kind of the data nerd of the group, and I'll share with you, and especially afterwards. But here's my view of the 30 years of reserves or expenses. This layout shows that we don't have to have any fee increases as long as the management of the assets is done correctly and the investment returns can match inflation. So I've been talking about afterwards. Looking at the reserves, I will stop. Thanks.
Thank you. Marissa, 2 minutes.
Hey, everybody, I'm a newbie every sense of that word. Literally between here from Lancaster, Pennsylvania 6 months ago, literally to this date. And I'm ready to jump in with both feet to the ground and learn and give back to my community. And this is all about volunteerism. I am an advocate of that. Meeting people and collaborating with community partners. So that is the reason that I'm sitting here tonight. A little bit about me. I I have two daughters. My husband and I are celebrating 29 years in October. And I work full-time for Girl Scouts of Northern California. I work remotely and I have a team of people that report to me. I'm in the fundraising department and grant writing. So I hope that those skills can contribute to the board, specifically with looking at financials and looking at ways we can build our community partnerships and collaborate outside of our community.
Thank you. Fred, 2 minutes.
Yes. I'm Fred Chipley. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to us and learn from us what we hope to be able to do for you. I have an academic background in my former life. I was PhD in finance at Northwestern. I taught at DePaul University in Chicago for almost 25 years and was fortunately able to take an early retirement plan, which allowed me the opportunity to explore life in a more hospitable climate. We did a lot of outreach programs. I taught Polish business people how to manage their companies in an environment where the state did not tell them what to do. They had to figure out what to do on their own. I have always been a service person, but everywhere I have been, I've committed myself to being a part of the community, to trying to contribute to it and trying to help the community move forward. In terms of management style, I will build a consensus if at all possible. As an academic, I was on the losing end of far too many 4-to-1, 9-to-1 votes, but that doesn't pay. You have to keep going. I believe that we can be more transparent in terms of communications to our residents. We do a great job with what's available in terms of email, but that doesn't necessarily be connected with our residents. I believe I have ways to do that. And demonstrated my ability to work with the board, with my colleagues on committees. I chair both the finance committee and the city. That's fun.
Thank you. Stephen, 2 minutes.
I should give some of my time to those other people down there. I've been here a full-time resident, 4 years. I'm hired. I'm on the famous TPP committee, which hasn't had anything to do with the last 4 months. Wait. My background is engineering manager, project manager. I didn't do it for a question. I went to do. But I still got
for engineering, you probably.
I got it. So, you know, my goal is to become more involved in the community, and I have a style similar to my other candidate here. I like to work on a consensus deal. I think, and I also think that you need to talk to people. My only point by saying that is, I look at the main entrance being and everything that went on. I don't think we talked to them. I'm done.
All right, to wrap up for the HOA side, we're going to go to our Zoom candidates here. Peter, if you want 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you so much. And I apologize that I'm on Zoom. We're in Thailand. We'd organized this trip a year ago, so it was pretty hard to make any changes. So I appreciate how challenging it is to try to communicate effectively and not being there. And my apologies for that. I just wanted to start with recognition to all of the candidates for the board. Regardless of the voting outcome, everyone is to be applauded for investing in this process in our community. All the candidates, myself included, are motivated to provide strong property owner input and oversight into the management of our community. We've chosen Anthem as our home, and I see great value in learning as much as possible about the community and its strategic management. I've always been actively engaged in every community I've been involved in, both personally and professionally. My personal strategy is open engagement and shining a light on all processes and strategic decision-making. I've both served on boards as a general member and as board president. On every board I've served, I've moved to the president position over time. My board experiences include Regional Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Boys and Girls Club of America, Junior Achievement, a Downtown Business Association, and at our last HOA in Washington State, before we relocated, I was on the board and was president. My primary focus has been on budget creation and oversight and general management of organizations and active ongoing engagement with the executive management. An open door to membership is also essential. I've also been in the position of being an executive officer reporting to a board of directors and welcoming board input to direct and guide corporate direction. Specifically, I served as an executive officer of a large community bank for the last 10 years of my career. In these executive roles, I worked cooperatively with our board of directors to ensure effective communication and oversight was provided. I know that's a lot to absorb and it's so challenging from 9,000 miles away, but I just thank you all for the opportunity to speak, and I'm appreciative of any support that I may obtain from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Vitaly, 2 minutes?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Hello, and yeah, I apologize what I cannot be with you all the time. Everybody tell about how long they're resident. Probably most recent resident just joined community a year ago. By my accent, you probably don't say what I have Minnesota accent, but I'm a resident of Rochester, Minnesota for past 23 years and continue to be. In Antum, obviously, that's a place where it's very interesting to me, and I have some ties to Arizona, but to say upfront, I'm not going to be full-time resident, but also not a winter person. Anyway, that's yeah, my accent from Belarus, but for past 23 years I live in United States. I'm physician by training. On top of that, have PhD and Master of Science in Clinical Research and full-time employed. Currently full-time employed. In my professional life, I dealing on the day-to-day basis with all complex situations which could be done between complex interaction with people and organization. And as we talk about some community engagement for my kind of outside work engagement, I always involved in professional organization on the different levels, including leading these professional organizations. And for past 6 years, I was on the Olmsted County Board of Adjustment dealing with all these land issues. Currently,
Okay, that's 2 minutes. Sorry. All right, thank you. So now for the ACC, the council board, Kurt, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Kurt Baker, resident in Athens since 2009. Our first was born a year before the year, so I raised 3 boys here. Civil engineer by trade, and then I did business school, my MBA in finance and accounting. From financial understanding of things. In civil engineering, I went right into construction management, did facilities, and I worked with tons of facilities, a lot of school districts, understanding how they keep everything running. There's a lot of similarities to what Anthem has as far as keeping school districts going and so forth. I think my greatest accomplishment in Anthem is my 3 boys haven't ended up on Anthem stuff, as far as I know. Working out things and so forth. We spend a lot of our time getting our kids to activities, and one thing that I would love to see in the future is spending less time driving out of Anthem for activities. There's a lot of us that have raised our kids here and would love to see a lot of things staying here as opposed to driving out and so forth. And that's one thing I'd love to really bring to the ACC is attracting new young families to our place. We are demographically really challenged here as school-age kids. We're getting older, and regionally, that's a problem. We've seen that in the demographic studies for the schools, that everybody's enrollment is going. And so attracting young families to Anthem, I think is one of the big deals. That what got us was when we walked in the Anthem Community Center as kids playing, like that's where we went. And I think I'd love to see that be a huge focus going forward, is try to do that. And that's primarily why I want to run.
Thank you. Barb, 2 minutes.
My name is Barb Patterson, and thank you all for being here. My husband Craig and I have lived here for 12.5 years, and I've served on the council for the last 6 years. So one might say, well, why isn't your time up? Why are you doing it again? But I feel like there's still more work to be done. And so some of the areas that I've been heavily involved in and will continue to be is working with what was mentioned, the facilities master plan. We'll have another, that's the enhancement fund, which is the $250 on every home sale. And we'll have another round of that coming up. And so I'd like to still be involved with that. I also was chair of the amenities committee, and I would imagine that we'll review that committee again in about, probably not this year, but next year. So I'd still like to manage that. And last but not least, I'd like to still continue to involve the community in making important decisions. And I've done that in a couple of ways. I've been instrumental in encouraging community members to get involved with our facility master plan. One is for the dog park. We did some improvement there. So we got a committee of 5 homeowners together, and we met several times to have some new benches coming in, a couple of trees. Another one that I have instigated, I guess you could say, is the Liberty Bell splash pad. A lot of them, oh my gosh, this goes quick. Okay, currently we're working on that project, and so I've gotten some community members together to do that. I don't think that actually staff always wants to have community involved, but I feel it's important. And then currently I'm working on a new group to have TSMC come to talk to us on the town hall. So if you vote for me, I'll ask for your opinion.
All right, great, thank you. So we'll get into the questions now. We'll start again with the rotation alphabetically. We're going to start, Chris, with you with question number 1. What do you understand about Anthem's unique governance structure, and how familiar are you with the governing documents, as well as how many board meetings have you been to?
Start with the third part. I have not been to a board meeting recently. I attended every board meeting when I was on the board of directors. I attended many board meetings when I was on the policy committee. I am generally very familiar with what's taking place at the board. So, but have I been to a recent board meeting? No. Neither has 98% of the rest of the community. But that doesn't mean I haven't been involved. What do I know about the governing documents? There's a lot of them. 3 inches worth. Do I understand the importance of them in general? Yes. Do I think that they need modification in general? They've been in place for 26 years.
Yes, for these questions, 1 minute. Bob, what do you understand about the governance structure, and how familiar are you with the governing documents, and how many board meetings have you attended?
Okay, I certainly am familiar with the governing documents as well. I had served on the finance committee, HOA, and being familiar with both the CCRs and the bylaws, why it's necessary if you're going to do anything on any of the committees, in my opinion. So I've been to 1 board meeting in the past year, and I think that's sufficient. I've been to other board meetings prior to the 1 year. So, but I'm very familiar with the governing structure. For our months.
Marissa?
So I am a newbie, as I mentioned earlier, and no, I have not attended a board meeting. But I'm an active learner. So as I said before, I'm ready to do a deep dive and bringing a fresh perspective, a collaborative mindset, and genuine enthusiasm for contributing to the future of the community that we live in. And I'm committed to do the work, to learn, and apply my skills to support a strong, accountable, and community-focused board leadership. Thank you very much.
Fred?
There are many HOAs. Club, outside, landing, condos, and over that is the ACC, the Community Council. That's the umbrella organization, which also serves as the been through the government documents many times. Too many times. And I'm very familiar with our design guidelines. I believe I have a pretty thorough understanding of work. I'm really working with this community.
Thank you. Stephen?
I haven't been to any board meeting. I do understand that pile of documents I printed out and read for tonight. I think that over the life of the community, there's probably some things that need to be modified in design guidelines. And I know that's not easy, but I think it can be done easy. That's all I'm gonna say.
Steve?
Actual attendance at the board meeting, I've been to one this year. This has been sort of a unique year. But I know most of the players on both the council side and the HOA side. Communicate with them regularly, and I do take the time to read the minutes. We have committee minutes as well as board minutes. I am well read on our governing documents. And probably of greatest concern to our HOA homeowners would be the residential design guidelines. These are things that stipulate what we can and cannot do with our homes. This probably causes the greatest concern expressed to board members and probably staff as well. That's it.
Okay, Peter?
Hi, thank you. Sorry, it took a moment to unmute there. Thank you. Yeah, we're relatively new full-time residents, 2 years and a couple of months now. I have not physically been at board meetings. I have reviewed all the minutes of the meetings for 2025 online. I've also reviewed the organizational structure fairly extensively just on my own reading. I'm very familiar with kind of the operational realities of governance of an HOA from my prior community where I was a board member and then board president. I am going to be fully retired, thankfully, mid-year this year, and that's going to increase my ability and my commitment to invest more time in the community. And that's part of my motivation to apply for this opportunity at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Vitaly?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. I think, Anaheim governance is very unique because there are interconnected entities like country club, golf club, and so everybody has distinct roles, responsibilities, and all these governing documents. Obviously, as only like 1 year, I did not attend any board meeting, but one of the decision for me to acquire this community was like, I just read all public documents and very well understand current problems of the community. Also, that's year ago I got very big pile of the documents, which bylaws, rules, regulation. That means I'm very, very fresh on that, and I read everything.
Great, thank you. For the Anthem Community Council, question 1 will go to Barb. How many ACC board meetings have you attended in the past year? And how familiar are you with the ACC's governing documents? Do you attend the HOA meetings?
Yes, well, I figured out, well, I've been to 10 of the 11 board meetings within the last year. But I figured out I've been to 60 of the 66 that I could attend as a council member, so I've been. Also, I've attended in the last year half of the quarterly HOA meetings. I think that's really important. I actually think going to any of our HOA and council meetings is really, really important for our residents. And since I've been on the council, I have reviewed the governing documents. I think we do that almost every year, so I'm pretty familiar with it. And if I wasn't, then I would just meeting.
All right, thank you, Kurt.
Yeah, I served on the growth committee, so that compelled me to go to about 2 to 4 in the past 2 years, and it was a good price because we have a well run. We do a lot of good things. I was very impressed with what the community also. As far as the governing documents, yeah, I'm familiar with it through a lot of different activities that we've done. What I also found about documents like that is a lot of times they just keep on speaking on us and keep everybody as a community kind of together. And then we got to always look at it as a way to make sure that we say, do the right thing a lot of time. I think a lot of times we get hung up on little nuances in board documents or government documents. And usually the people in leadership have an opportunity to look at those things and find a way to always do the right thing. And that's what I'd like to see us continue to do a lot and make sure that's why we use those documents. Update them if they need to, if they get out of date, but always pursue to just do right by the community and do right by people and not use those as just ways to say no and keep things going.
Thank you. So next question will go to the ACCCA and we'll start with Bob. What is your leadership philosophy? If elected, how would that philosophy add value to the board and foster a strong and supportive working relationship with community stakeholders and the management team?
Boy, that's a lot. I say the leadership philosophy is one that's a data-driven consensus. I don't think you can come to consensus unless you can show the facts of whatever the situation is that you're looking at. So I would say it is a data-driven consensus would be my philosophy. How would it add value to the board? I think it's a focus that any board should have. Should be more concerned with getting the facts out instead of just accepting recommendations made by other organizations. So what else I need? For working in relationship with community stakeholders and the management team. Certainly communicating what the data says to the community is important.
Thank you. Marissa?
So my leadership philosophy is rooted in collaboration, transparency and respect. In my professional role as senior director, I lead a team of 5 people and we work cross-functionally. And so that requires me to actively listen to my team members, synthesize with their viewpoints, and bring people together with their shared goals. I believe in strong leadership, not having all the answers, and it's about creating an environment where people feel valued and appreciated. I will bring that same approach here to the board and in the natural inclination to collaborate and remain open to perspectives and making sure that all of our voices are counted as homeowners and between the staff and management. Ultimately, I bring leadership experience and collaborative spirit, qualities that I believe would strengthen the board's effectiveness and the relationships across.
Great, thank you. Fred?
I'm in line with Bob in terms of consensus, but consensus based on facts. When we've had difficult issues that I might not understand, I make myself educated enough to ask the right question to get the answers that matter to the board. Or I served on the board. I made every single board meeting, moving in from vacation when necessary. I will continue that collaborative relationship. And I believe it is important to be even more transparent to our members and to work with our strong current management.
Stephen?
Well, I'm a consensus guy too, but I think we need to talk about points to people, listen, modify where necessary. But on the other hand, it's never gonna be 100%. You just gotta satisfy the majority.
Excellent. Okay, Steve?
When I think about leadership philosophy, I have to step back and recognize that these are volunteer roles. We don't get paid. So when we talk about leadership, you know, we're all trying to make contribution toward a common goal. And therein, I think it's important for a leader to have a clear understanding of what our goals are, what our objectives, establish metrics so that you can measure whether or not you're accomplishing those goals, and be a team player. You've got to be a consensus builder. I'm a stakeholder. I want the best for this community, just like everyone else in this room. That's it.
Chris?
Gee, I wish I had something unique to say. We've all heard the right words: consensus builders, collaborating, respect, listening, data. All of those things are important, and all of us have had leadership experience utilizing those kinds of skills in our careers. That's what I've done, and that's what I would like to do again for the community.
Okay, great. Peter?
Thank you. And yes, I agree. Everyone is emphasizing the same points that are also valuable. And I think we all share so many of the same points. I do believe in a high degree of communication, a total lack of ego, definitely a consensus builder, to use that phrase that we've all relied upon this evening. And one thing that probably has marked my executive career is I'm willing to be a disruptor. I ask questions and I listen to input, and I'm not afraid to move forward from the status quo. I think one of the risks of board management is following the status quo and feeling uncomfortable or unwilling to step outside of that. And I think that actually is a very vital role of a board member. Thank you.
Thank you. Vitaly?
And yeah, my leadership philosophy is grounded around accountability, preparation, respect. Obviously, I agree with Steven. This is volunteer service, and yeah, mutual respect is very important here. And we want to focus on the long-term outcomes. We want to be constructive, and if elected, I will came to board meetings prepared, and will not afraid to ask difficult questions, but again stay very constructive. And consistent communication with staff and management team is important. Again, just emphasize it's a volunteer role. There are people who do this full time, and they are doers. Thank you.
Thank you. And now for the council, Kurt, please comment or expand on your skills and experience that position you well as an ACC director.
Skill-wise, I really rely on background, construction management, financial statements don't scare me at all. Construction projects, I think we had the issues at the locker room at the community center. I called Mike about the ERB because I goes to work all day, every day, and so those types of things allow me to get involved in those types of things fairly easily. So I rely on a lot of those skills. I think the experience really is the next point is, without having to struggle with that, add touch points in the community. So understanding different constituents. I go to school board meetings, I coach in the community, talk to a lot of parents. I have a kid that's a musician. So I try to run the gamut and have a lot of different touch points. So you see a lot of perspectives, different people. So What I do know is, what is good for my family is not the same for a lot of people, so. Always adding that experience and being able to reach out to people. It's nice to be able to pick up the phone and go, hey, I'm not in this world, can you give me some advice on how you would look at this? And so I like to keep that experience in life. Well,
Thank you, Barb.
I like the use of touch points. I have a gazillion touch points. I'll just mention a few. Currently, I'm secretary of the member advisory board, so I mentioned that at the club. And we meet with a small group with the general manager on a monthly basis. I'm also on the HOA's LAC, which is the Lifestyle Enhancement Committee, which Fred was chairman at one point. And that keeps me updated on all the policies regarding our landscape. And I'm also the old master of two community-based program groups. One is the Wednesday Club, which has 600 members, and another is Arizona, Anthem Arizona Pickleball Club. I see a couple people here that also has 600 members. And I've been passed on the amenities and facilities master plan. So I feel like I have a breadth of experience.
Great, thank you. Okay, for our next question for HOA board, Marissa, we'll start with you. What do you see as the most important priorities facing the ACCCA over the next year and in the years ahead? If elected, how would you prioritize them and work to address?
So I have three major priorities that I think we should focus on. Number one, sustaining our infrastructure and the appearance through proactive maintenance and long-term capital planning. Number two, ensuring our financial stability by managing the costs effectively, and while also protecting our services that all of us as homeowners expect. And number three, strengthening the communication and the collaboration between management and homeowners. I think that there needs to be full transparency and timely problem solving. So in short, ensuring that all the decisions between the board are well informed to the community, to homeowners, and that we're community focused, and that we are all aligning with our long-term sustainability.
Fred?
In terms of priorities, I would put number one, reaction to and understanding and moving on our reserve fund, which is taking place this year and will be available for this beginning of 2027. We have gotten a lot of surprises from that in the past, but not only as chair of the finance committee, but also as a board member, we've dealt with them, I think, very effectively. Next to that, I would put maintaining and improving small, hopefully very cost-effective ways, our overall common efforts. They're 25 years old, and some areas show that. I believe there are some ways relatively inexpensive to be able to make them shine a little bit more, make them appear more representative.
Thank you. Stephen?
I just believe we need to have a strong outreach to all the homeowners and try and explain how we do. I understand reserve finances are always a big deal, and all that kind of stuff. And I think we could probably get better buy-in when some of those things. I also think that as a community agent place, I believe that some of the standards for the LAC probably. Thank you.
Steve?
Clearly, our HOA has two priorities. They fall into the operational side, which is the everyday maintenance, maintaining the aesthetics of our community, improving them, maintaining our gates. And the other side is reserves, which others have touched on here. Our biggest expense on the reserve side is our roads. And this is an incredible project to try to wrap your arms around. We have hired in the past consultants to come in, and we are actively looking for current residents who have experience in this area to help and assist where they possibly can. So my priorities, operational controls, and making sure that our reserve fund is well funded. Thank you.
Chris?
I'm going to be more specific. Road maintenance, that is the single largest expense that the community faces year over year. We are approaching 30 years now. We have a reserve study that goes out another 30 years. We are having a new one done, but we are talking about millions of dollars of expense in road maintenance. And not only, and it's not just getting it done, it's getting it done correctly. We also have to take a close look at the other aesthetics of the community, not just the common areas, but ensuring that the lifestyle appearance of homeowners or homes and as all the common areas maintain a high quality look. We want the gate system to be working properly. We want the video cameras to be working properly. Roads, by far and away, roads.
Bob?
Perfect segue. Reserve is my thing. For the next 10 years, right now, current plans will spend $860,000 for an asphalt consultant. Over the next 10 years, 800, or close to $1 million. It's $823,000 for granite replacement in the community. $2.8 million for the irrigation system. Those are just some examples of our current plans and expenditures. Those total to $4.48 million, just those three. I question the need for that kind of expenditures in those categories. But there's a whole series of categories in that reserve study. Because someone says that this road is only going to last 7 years, well, what if it lasts 9 years? I've laid out a plan, I'll show you after we come here, that by shifting 2 years of reserve expenditures, we can have 0 fees for the next 30 years.
Thank you. Peter?
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much. With respect to priorities, budget oversight, number one. Given my professional experience and my education, I have a master's degree in finance. Budget management and oversight is probably number one. And following on that last comment, asking questions and being aware of what's necessary and what's not, and what is just on the schedule to be done that perhaps could be altered to save money for future expenditures. Number two, effective communication, especially with respect to major projects, such as the entry gate landscaping, such as the ongoing road management projects, making sure people understand and have an opportunity for input as early as possible to help with our decision-making in an informed way. The third thing I personally find interesting that I'd like to have a better handle on is developing an understanding of the interrelationship between our community HOA and the club, invited clubs that are operating
I'm
the
sorry,
clubs within our
that's time.
community.
Sorry, Peter.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
Vitaly?
Yeah, obviously, key priority for association is continuity and stability. That's what make this character of Anhem. And obviously, that's priority would be, like everybody said, maintain financial stability, control long-term cost, and do some preventive maintenance, which would be sometimes like more costly when that would be emergency maintenance or so. No, but obviously, just to wrap it up, ensure continuity and stability.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question for council will go to Barb. What do you see are the key issues facing the council in the next year and looking forward over the next 5 to 10 years?
Same as with the HOA, we're all concerned about budget, and I have a list of them taking a little bit now. Increases if we can make that happen. I think because it's my sort of the enhancement funds and the way that we spend them. I think instead of adding new amenities like we have been in the past, we're gonna take some of that money to, look for other ways of, like, more practical projects. Like maybe adding solar to reduce the electricity in one of our buildings. So I think that we'll be able to reduce some of the using the enhancement funds in different ways than we have in the past.
Kurt?
There's pressure right now to close one of our K grades. It's right there. That's a canary in the coal mine of, we have people, we have our younger, we gotta replace them. Young family buying a $500,000 home, they're gonna come here as long as there's stuff to do and great programming. So I think for us, great programming has gotta be. And I do think as a community, we invest in facilities. Those people should pay for their programs. So I think it's great programming, paid for by the user. So it's keep up our great facilities, and people will come and do that. If you're buying a $500,000 home, $1 million home, you're willing to pay for good programming at the community center and make sure that your kids are staying there. The other big one that's coming is we're gonna have neighbors to the west of us eventually. It's coming, and I think if we passively look at that, we'll be trying to defend our amenities and put a wall around our park. And I think if we collaborate with people, people will be able to actually have a good, sustainable neighborhood.
All right. Our next question will start with Fred. What role do you typically play on a team? Convener, challenger, consensus builder, or something else? What does supporting the team, including management staff, mean to you in practical day-to-day terms?
Back to the first part, it would be all of the above. I believe in challenging committee members on board members. I believe in providing them the opportunity to grow in their jobs. I was chair of the finance committee, and managed to convince the committee and the board work well with management team to focus that group on long-term financial planning. Management team has done an excellent job of managing operating resources, keeping the board and finance committee informed on that. But long-term financial planning is critical.
Stephen?
I describe myself as an influencer and trying to reach best solution for again, like door. Nobody's ever going to be 100%. That's it.
Okay, Steve?
I guess in service on a board like our HOA, you have to have the ability to serve in multiple roles. Sometimes you're a convener, sometimes you challenge. Sometimes you have to build consensus. And that requires flexibility and it requires great listening ability, trying to understand others' points of view and how that can work to the betterment of the community as a whole. I think volunteers who come forward and serve on our committees and our boards want to make our community better, and they're willing to serve in a variety of constructive roles. For myself, all of the above, as Fred said.
Hey, Chris?
It's easy now. As Fred and Steve said, all of the above. I find that I learn a lot more listening than I do talking. In terms of working with the team and supporting the team, it's ensuring that they have the freedom to do the work that they're tasked to do. It's ensuring that they have the resources to accomplish the goals that they're set out to achieve. Trust but verify.
Okay, Bob?
I think my role is more to bring a different view, an outside view to committees. In this case, a board. I just feel that I think a little differently than a lot of people do. I'm not a go-along guy. I'll fight like hell for a position that I believe in. But once the vote goes against me, it's let's go have a beer. There's none is carrying on, grudges or anything else. I honestly believe though that I can bring a different perspective to a lot of the issues, certainly the financial issues. I'll just leave it at that. I'll quickly say, since I have 2 seconds up, that I was a finance department chairman. I taught finance university level for a lot of years. While I was a member of the finance committee, I mentioned that I was president of 2 HOA boards, one in Illinois, one in Florida.
Thank you. Marissa?
I'm a builder. In my professional career, I build my team members up by listening carefully, listening to taking in all of their different perspectives, and just listening to their opinion and their voice. And I would take that same approach here with this volunteer role as board members. We all in this room are team members, all of us. We are homeowners, we are management. And so collaboratively, I want to hear your voice. I want to hear what you want to have improved. I want to hear what you want to have considered, and taking in your viewpoints, your consideration, and your diversity is important for this role.
Great, thank you. Peter?
Hi there, thank you. Ultimately, I view myself as a consensus builder, but I can also be a respectful disruptor if needed, and challenging people to question the status quo especially. I think that's one of the biggest potential failures in any leadership organization is being too married to the status quo. I encourage open dialogue as well, of course, to obtain the best outcomes. So really consensus, but with open and full communication and willing to move forward from the status quo as needed. Thank you.
Yeah, there are obviously no single role what I can play, but I train to ask difficult questions and not afraid to challenge. But obviously, like at the end of the day, it's an open discussion, which consensus need to be built. And when consensus built, I support team decision. Yeah, to work with management team, I trust in professional expertise. And value timely communication, and on the day-to-day basis, yeah, we need to be open channels and avoid surprise. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, for council, on this one, we'll start with Kurt. Which influences do you believe are the highest priority? I'm sorry, what issues do you believe are the highest priority, and how would you influence the ACC board in addressing them?
And we touched a little bit on high priorities, and it's a big deal. Yeah, slowly kind of keeping everything up. Influencing it, I think it's being able to get into the weeds on those types of things. Coach several teams that put together programs that understand what are all the challenges, make sure that you have a good program. It doesn't come because you just want it. It's tough. Really program. Keeping up great facilities is I've said I deal with a lot of schools, and there's so many people that have wants and needs and managing those things and prioritizing things that might be falling apart versus things like, you know, having been there, I understand that stuff. So I think I can speak with a lot of experience when we're talking to staff and so forth, understanding their pain and they're empathizing with them, all the things they have to deal with to manage that.
Thank you, Barb.
Yeah, maintenance of our current aging community, I think, is probably the highest priority. We have put in place some better contract review policies. Previously, sometimes it would be a vendor who would just be the only vendor, and now we make sure that they are going through a process to bring in multiple vendors. So I'm going to party voting for that sort of thing. So it was
All right, next question, we'll start with Stephen. Are there any operational areas within the Anthem Country Club Community Association, such as gate access, landscaping, maintenance, or administration, that you believe could be enhanced? If so, what changes would you recommend and how would you work to implement them?
Well, I was all around my neighborhood. I looked at the landscaping of the common areas in the neighborhood. I think that use some updating and modification. And the other thing you have is for me, a big attraction is road. And then because you don't control the roads there, it makes you know that much. And I think that's fine.
All right, Steve?
I think on the operational side, there are three primary areas. One is obviously reliance on our AAM management team. They're the people that are out doing. We also have contracted services with DLC, our landscape management company, which is an enormous expense. They're the ones that we expect to keep our community beautiful, maintained. And then we have our third component, which is the gates, management of the gates. So the guards, the security patrols. I've been involved with the HOA, as I said initially, since 2008. Everything seems to be working quite good. It just needs constant oversight.
Hey, Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of echo somewhat of Steve's comments. Clearly, the DLC contract is critically important in terms of aesthetics of the community. All along all the roads throughout the community. We spend a lot of money there. Can it be improved? Maybe, but it's very targeted improvement needs to be made there. In terms of gate access, I've been through the process of choosing each gate services company that we've had since the start of this community. Here again, a lot of people don't even understand what our gate access, how the gate access system works, what it's there for and what it's not there for. That's an important area. I'll stop there.
All right, Bob?
Operational side seems fairly decent to me. There are two things, gates seem to be a hot topic today. So I would suggest that the Gates Committee and eventually the board consider two things that I had experience with in another HOA. One is to install an encoder, a reader in the guest lane. Because if you've ever gotten behind a semi coming in through the resident lane, the traffic is backed up across Anthem Way. So we solved that problem in Florida by installing an encoder reader in the guest side, so residents could go through that channel. The second is why do we want to try to keep people in here? The exit gate, in my opinion, should be left open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We shouldn't have to try to control people coming out of the community instead of coming in.
Thank you, Marissa.
So again, as a reminder, I'm only 6 months new into the community, love it. And this is actually my first time living in an HOA. But some of the things that I've just seen right off the bat in my 6 month time span is opportunity where we can rely on our community for in-kind support and partnerships. So in-kind support, meaning if there's an enhancement that needs to be done in the club, let's look at considering talking to partnerships outside who wants to donate their time, resources, and et cetera, to make those enhancements. I think that could be explored and also could save on the budget as well. So I'd like to say on that. Thank you.
Fred?
All of the above once again, we should always be looking forward to try to enhance everything we do. Gate access is the most important thing, is making sure that the people out there are treated with respect by our residents and respond in time. And I believe the current company has done a great job. Maintenance, again, trust but verify. DLC has done a great job of just maintaining things. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't constantly communicate with them to try to do better. Administratively, it's pretty simple. The board and the community, you know, what AAM does for us, and make sure that we don't impinge on them, nor is they constantly.
Thank you. Peter?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, at the risk of being repetitious, definitely the maintenance is a primary concern. I mean, that's one of the major things that we have oversight of, and that really ties into financial management as well, and growth and dues. And just thinking about the road project, I don't know enough about it to know at this point, for example, if last year's repaving project was absolutely needed, or if it could have been pushed out on a longer time frame to try to preserve budget and reserve funds. That's something I'd like to learn more about. I know I informally received a lot of communication within the neighborhood of people questioning, was that really needed, as an example. I don't personally have an opinion because I'm not on the inside with that decision making, but that's the sort of thing that I'd like to be involved in and get a better understanding of what needs to be done, what can be put on a longer timeline with regards to budget preservation and trying to limit the growth in dues. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Vitaly?
And if we're talking about this operational improvement, obviously there are always opportunity to do more efficiently, but instead all these sweeping changes, it need to be incremental, and obviously review some vendor contracts, set up clear standards for services, and inflation it's here. But everything need to be data driven and based on some performance metrics, which again should be obtained from from feedback, from cost analysis or so. But obviously, that's a lot into this formula should be financial decisions made. Thanks.
Thank you. For council, this one will go to Barb. How will you balance the role of representing the country club community with serving the needs of Anthem as a whole?
I don't see us as separate entities when I'm on the council. Certainly residents will come to me if they have questions about council, but I see we work as a team and I just don't see the separation.
Kurt?
Yeah, I really think it comes down to efficiency this one. So efficiency, I know that during the summer, that's our biggest demand on our community center. Get all our catering agents that I know. Scottsdale, City of Scottsdale Unified School District have interagency agreements so they can use those facilities back and forth. I think we need to look at lots of things like that. We run a lot of activities out of our parks because we run about different things. And then we have all these school fields blocked up. We can get efficient with a lot of the space and not go build a new park and so forth. We just need to use what we have better. And that discipline piece is, if you ask people what they want, I might want a Ferris wheel, but we don't need a Ferris wheel. We got great amenities that is, and we keep up what we got, stay disciplined with that, and keep going with it. When I moved here in 2009 and started playing tennis, and a lot of those tennis players just didn't think highly of the pickleball. Now we have all ages, a lot of kids and a lot of people using that. It's not efficient. It's great still.
Thank you. For the next HOA question, we'll start with Peter. What specific strategies or initiatives would you recommend to control costs while still meeting homeowners' expectations for quality service and maintenance?
Hi, thank you. That really, when I think of that question, it ties into my last comments of being more aware of what needs to be done to maintain the integrity and beauty of the community. versus what potentially a more lengthy time frame might be to get certain capital projects done. I'd be very concerned, for example, if there's a strategy of when you hit a certain date, certain work gets done, which can be valuable, but it can also expedite expenses that potentially could be on a longer timeline. So that's probably the one thing that comes to mind that I don't really have a preconceived notion. I'm just identifying it as something I'd like to have a better understanding of to ensure that we're not spending capital out of the reserves on an accelerated basis beyond what perhaps is necessary to maintain the standards we expect in the community.
All right, thank you, Vitaly.
Yeah, I would say that's like something what we teach our kids, like align expectation with financial reality. And yeah, obviously that could be a lot planned, but it's all need to be aligned with long-term value and also have this maintained cost without sacrificing quality. I think, competitive bidding is important, regular contract review it's also important, and proactive maintenance also is important. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. Steve?
Your turn. Yeah, I'm sort of asleep at the switch here. Yeah, there've been some great answers to these questions. I don't really think I have a great deal to add. Yeah, I think that's enough right now.
Yes.
I looked at this question and there's a conflict here. The conflict is controlling costs while meeting homeowners' expectations for quality and quality service and maintenance. And I'm going to give you a specific example. Anthem Club Drive, repaving last year. There was significant conversation about splitting that over a 2-year period. Doing half of it 1 year, half of it another year. The aesthetics drove the decision to do it all at once, as well as if you postpone for a year, that other half is going to get more expensive. So there are a lot of factors that go into some of these decisions that not everybody sees, but are carefully considered. And sometimes it looks like a dumb decision when in fact, after full consideration of all the implications, turns out maybe is the right decision.
Thank you, Bob.
In terms of cost control, why, if you look at the expenses of the club, roughly 70% are contract services. So I would think that a tighter scrutiny may be on awarding the contracts would be an appropriate thing to do. Looking at and going out for maybe competitive bids on a more frequent basis. That's something that I would certainly want to investigate. I have no axe to grind there. In terms of the reserves, which is our obviously other big expenses, I think my feelings on that. We should be more actively managing those expenses when we incur them, and to smooth out. Because if you look at the expenses as planned out for the next 30 years, and I happen to have a graph to show you that, you'll see if we can smooth those, then once again, fee increases may not be necessary.
Thank you, Marissa.
So I like this question. And if there are enhancements that are considered, competitive bidding is something that I would strongly look at. Personally, we purchased our home and it needed a new roof. So before we even moved in, what did I do? I got 4 bids from the community within the area. And I took those 4 bids, evaluated them, and I went back to each one and I said, so-and-so gave me this price. What can you do? Can you match it? Can you come below it? And guess what? I got the best price on our new roof. And so that's how I would consider cutting costs or looking at cost competitive bidding. And then the second piece is to establish, explore in-kind contributions and community partnerships. So again, if there's some enhancements that need to be done, let's look within our own community of residents of what skills you have and what materials that you'd like to donate.
Thank you, Fred.
As Chrissy pointed out, there's always a conflict between controlling costs and enhancing the community of residents expect. Having said that, for example, with the road, there are new technologies available that would give us a much more detailed picture of each and every street in this community. One of the first questions I would ask our reserve consultant is, do you know about this technology? Would exploring it result in a positive cost benefit? That is, would we be able to identify areas that we could put off to smoothly expansion more readily than having our current contractor walk the streets? This new technology looks below to the bedrock.
You, Stephen?
Oh, cost control, zero-based budgeting is competitive, the wonderful thing. But it takes time and effort, and so I think that would be additional resources. I think we should look at technology, or is somebody already looked into what forward like. I don't think one power is. But maybe a little more serious. Okay.
Okay. Same question to council. So Kurt, same question.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the big thing for joint costs of that facility master planning effort, and thought Barb made a great comment in the last ACC meeting, so I think the numbers held up. And I think that's the trick of the facilities management plan. It's, all those numbers, you can tell me they're wrong, either they're right, you can't tell me they're wrong. So when you start managing and executing the facility master plan, that's so much going to change. And put it together, so it's take discipline and not saying I got $50 in my pocket, I gotta go spend it. It's staying disciplined and that kind of stuff. So a really good, robust facilities master plan that stays disciplined, not adding the Ferris wheel, but then executing it as we go to make sure that you can't count on it being right on. And so every number in there has to be interpreted and understood and make sure that, hey, there's risk, inflation, this is going up, this is changing, and really know how you execute on those facility master plan documents.
Okay, Barb?
I agree with all that. We also have a new asset management system at the council, and that's helped us to control costs and know and our reserve planning. So, you know, all the other things that everybody mentioned, but we have no. Well, anyway, we do. So that's it.
All right, great, thank you. So our next question, we'll start with Vitaly. How would you characterize the current relationship between the ACC and ACCCA? What do you believe contributes to this relationship? And if elected, how would you work to strengthen the relationship?
Yeah, obviously this is shared by common interest, membership, but obviously they have distinct operational responsibility. And probably communication is the most important item, which would be a strange relationship. And in this, when expectation misaligned, that would be a problem. I think that structured communication and focusing on the common goal would be strange relationship between these two organizations.
Thank you. Peter?
Hi there. Thank you. Thanks again for the patience for working with me on Zoom from a distance. Thank you. That's a challenging question to answer, as I'm not an insider now. So I don't have that insight as to what that level of communication is between the boards. I'm hopeful, and I'd be interested talking to existing board members to find out what the status of that is. I would hope it's very inclusive and open and with full dialogue back and forth. As a resident of the community, I'm not aware of any issues of lack of communication between the two groups, but that obviously is something I would want to confirm if confirmed to the board. Thank you.
Steve?
The relationship that our homeowners association has with council, I think, is outstanding. It's a cooperative, yet separate roles. We have three members of our homeowners association who serve, one of which is Barb right now, and represent us. The biggest thing that council does for us is billing and collection. And it's been a great cooperative relationship. I would say it's excellent. There's nothing that I can think of off the top of my head that can make it better, other than to have some more really good people serving on council.
You, Chris?
Yeah, I want to echo Steve. It's a collaborative, cooperative relationship. Both the HOA and the council and Parkside and Landings and all of the other homeowners associations under the umbrella of the ACC are all interested in preserving and enhancing the community that we live in. And so the interests and goals are really common. And it's a matter of working their respective areas collaboratively, cooperatively. And they do.
For the record, I'd like you to play back what Barb said several questions ago about the relationship, that there is no conflict between the ACCA and the ACC. So I don't think it's an issue at all. The working relationship seems to be excellent. And there's nothing else to say.
Marissa?
Well, my perspective is still growing. Again, only been here 6 months. Give me some grace. But what I think we should be seeing is communication, transparency, and partnership. I think those 3 bullet points should be happening. And so that's what I would like to see happen going forward as well.
Fred?
I believe the relationship between council and the HOA specifically has been excellent. We communicate, mostly that occurs through the community manager, as well as the board president. I don't see any reason to change that. And the only thing we need to continually monitor is that everyone understands what their role is and executes it well. And I don't think that's been an issue in the past, nor do I think it will be an issue for many people.
Thank you. Stephen?
I don't have enough experience to have them.
All right. Barb, same question?
Oh, yeah, well, obviously, you know that I think it's a good relationship. From the board point of view, I think we all get along well and talk. I would like to see more ACCCA board members at our council meetings. But, and also from a staff point of view, so there's actually 2 aspects of that. The staff actually shares resources together, and they've done a great job, and I think Erin has done a great job of building a relationship with Megan and Beth, and I think we're good.
I really can't speak. It does not surprise me that we have a good relationship with every class, and it's I think to your point, we've been well served with members going back and forth. I was really helpful, so I commend everybody for serving in those different roles. For my purposes, I just own my own relationships, and I think being accessible is a big deal. A lot of relationships and so forth happen between meetings. People have meetings to get relationship going and issues understood and so forth. So I like to believe that I'm extremely accessible to residents, to all this cross-partnering piece. My wife would complain about how much I'm on the phone in a day, just taking on phone calls for different purposes, but I enjoy that piece and that community building piece of getting to know people, understanding their concerns and listening. So I think that's the big piece that has a relationship with having this service well, a lot of people don't do.
Great, thank you. That concludes the questions that I have. We're running short on time, but we have a little bit of time to maybe take a couple of questions from the audience. If anybody has a specific question, we just ask that those questions be something that can be answered by all candidates. Yes.
I thought about it while you were speaking. Is it possible for the HOA to have some kind of, not relationship with, but influence on Invited?
Okay, we'll give 1 minute, 1 minute on that, and we'll start with Steve.
Well, great, thanks. You know, we do have a relationship. Bart mentioned earlier that she's currently serving on the member advisory board. I served on the member advisory board. We have to step back and understand, you know, and this was sort of a revelation for me after we moved here. This is a business they're running, and our documents prohibit us from interfering in their business. We work very hard to try to maintain a cooperative relationship, and I think we have come a long ways in doing that. If you've watched any of the presentations from Monty, he's always very complimentary of the relationship that he has with AAM and our board. So I hope that answers your question.
Chris.
Yes and no. I'm going to give you a specific example. There was a huge issue concerning fishing on the golf course, on the second hole. Residents on Crooked Stick were their street was being parked with all kinds of vehicles all the time. There were people coming in through the gates in vehicles and walking to go fishing. We pointed out to the club, all you would have to do is follow your own rules, which state there is no fishing. And finally, Monty put up the no fishing sign, which to the distress of some folks, understandably, but that was the right thing to do. And we helped Monty get there.
Bob?
That's one of the things that I have told people in talking about running the board that I would want to look at, is there a contract between the HOA and the club? Because they use our roads. Golfers come in and they use our roads. And that's our biggest expense, and everybody's always worried about the roads. So, but that's just one thing. Never mind. That's all.
Marissa?
My perspective is still growing, so. I am not a golf member, so I don't, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Fred?
I would cite the example Chris just mentioned. The board took an active interest in determining who had responsibility for what parts of it. Yes. The tunnel, which many people use, actually belongs to Maricopa County. Not much we can do except beg and plead. The club has unrestricted rights basically to do whatever they want. We have to provide them an easement to do everything. And I think just working with the fishing issue and broaden a relationship that hopefully will grow.
Stephen?
I view it as taxation without representation.
All right. Peter?
Hi there. I think it was hard to hear the question. I think it was about the relationship with invited clubs.
Yes.
Personally, I love the athletic facilities, but I kind of like that last comment. You know, that we're a captive market. I mean, it's a great business model where you have 2,800 plus people paying a guaranteed revenue stream every month. And something I'm really interested in, I hear this from a lot of people in the community I talk to, is we'd like to learn more about what that contractual relationship, if there is one, between the community association and the invited clubs is. And if there isn't, I guess we are somewhat of a captive to their strategic management of their business. Thank you.
Vitaly?
Yeah, obviously, as is not very long in understanding this relationship, yes, but I agree with that's need to be at least it's need to be evaluated on the like in a timely basis and see what could be changed in benefit of the members or so, or how that could be changed and improved. Yeah, that's it's more to learn for me.
Okay, thank you. Kurt, do you?
I think at the council, we don't really have a dog in that hunt, probably no idea about that, but I don't think we have a lot. But I will say, I'm your old fishes and got, like step out a little bit with that, but we're gonna go with Canada fishing some, so. He'll get to do better.
Well, talking about fishing, the programming now includes, well, it's not a fishing program, but there's that guy at a council lake who has fishing
He
classes.
does, he's a really coach now too.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of do no comment.
Okay.
Maybe, can I just add? We had this issue at an HOA in Florida. And it wound up, the residents bought the amenities from the company that owned them, except the golf course. The golf course stayed separate. But in terms of the fitness center and the restaurant and all those, the residents actually bought them. So a few years ago, why several of us got together and tried to figure out if that was even feasible for this, and I'll stop.
Question, the gentleman in the back.
Hi. First of all, compliment each and every one of you. You all spoke very clearly with your precise interests. Risk management to me is a very key responsibility of every board. And we heard tonight many internal risk management techniques that you plan, finance, budgeting, reserve fund, et cetera, et cetera. My question to the board is external risks. And I haven't heard much about external risks. Contract management a little bit. And I must admit the paving came up last year. That contract, in my mind, from having some experience in pavement management, was the wrong contract type to be called. It should have been on a not on a lump sum bid, but on a unit price per ton bid. Then you know what you're getting. Having said that, external risk management, I would love to hear a comment from each of you about what you consider to be the biggest external risk to the board and to Anthem, to the quality of life in here. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts. One is water supply, fire hazard, and the Invite Club. If you look at the financial balance sheet of Invite, it is not a healthy corporation. You've got a problem if it goes down. But I'd love to hear comments about if anybody has other external risks that haven't been mentioned and what you prefer to do with those.
We'll start with Chris on this one. Sorry.
Me?
Yes.
Well, I was just reading the local Anthem magazine that we got in the mail today. I think one of the largest external risks is the huge growth that's coming off the 303 and TSMC in the next 3 to 8 years. The population growth. Is Maricopa County going to really take care of the road system? Are we going to be flooded there? The other external risks that you mentioned, I don't know how to control Invited. It's my understanding that Invited would like to sell this property. But I understand that they also are asking for such a premium on it that nobody's interested in buying it. I don't know how to manage those extra risks. And I don't know what we can do about them. Try to enhance our awareness, learn as much as we can about them and react to it. So.
All right, Bob?
Some of those risks are double-edged sword. TSMC, why put a lot of pressure on housing in 2022, and we all loved it that prices on our houses skyrocketed pretty much. Of course, they've abated since then. But I'm kind of with Chris. I'm not sure that there's a way to handle those external risks. The invited thing I would like to see some aggressive move towards doing something about that, because I'm with them. Because I also sat down one time and took 2,866 homes times the annual means that the social members, which is everybody, has to pay. And there was a cash flow stream, and I said, I don't mind paying increase in dues. Show me the value that you've added. In the particular year that I did this, why food prices went, restaurant prices went up, fees in the fitness center went up. And I'm saying, wait a minute, you raised the dues, you're collecting all this money from us, and show me the value.
That's time.
That's the same thing.
Sorry, that's time. Thank you, Marissa.
I commend you for that question. I think that's very, very brave of you to ask that. And I think with external risk, when we look at our population, it's growing outside of the club. So we have to think about, okay, what is making our club sustainable, and what is making our club more attractive than other places in the area or other places nearby besides the Great Anthem Club. But we have to be careful about the enhancements that are presented and watch that it makes sense financially against the budget, because we all don't want our dues increased at all, if possible. A little bit here and there, but we need to, it's a fine dance between keeping us competitive in the market, but also keeping us in line with what we need to do to stay on float and stay productive or enhanced.
Thank you, Fred.
In terms of external risk, I would echo everyone else's point. We really do things that make us competitive, that keep us viewed as a premier community. In terms of some of them specifically that Bob mentioned, I actually watched Anthem Club Drive with him and another acquaintance who is principal in one of the largest paving companies in the Pacific Northwest. And with Margaret, and we took a look at what was going on. And Bob made the recommendation then, which I passed on. Total cost contract is not the way to go. You want unit pricing, and you want it so that you know when people bid to say they're going to provide 2,000 square yards of asphalt, you got 2,000 square yards. That's easily measured.
Thank you, Stephen.
Well, growth around this area is a big deal. I want to tell you, if I'd have known TSMC was going to come here, I wouldn't have come here. And that's my opinion.
All right, Steve.
Well, clearly, I think the biggest external risk is growth. Phoenix doesn't seem to have any issue whatsoever with expanding. They don't want to incorporate us. We're in an unincorporated area, not part of the of Phoenix. Water is not a concern. We have a guaranteed contract for supply of water, so that is not an external issue in my mind. I'm troubled by the fact that we have all of these homes being built around us. The roads are getting absolutely crazy. I mean, they're packed, and I don't think that Maricopa County is going to be able to build a road system quick enough to accommodate 15,000 homes that are supposed to be built south of Taiwan Semiconductor in the next six years.
Think about the school system.
Thank you. All
Absolutely.
right, Peter?
An advantage though is that we will be the only private.
Hi there, Peter here. Hard to disagree with the points raised about externalities. Surrounding population, once again, it's hard for us to have a lot of impact on that other than to be aware. Definitely, I also echo the concern about being involved and having a greater understanding of our bidding process. That's a major area. And then the third item that we really, it seems, don't have much control over as well as that relationship with invited. I mean, that comes up all the time in my discussions with people in the community, is that it's just the reality we have, that we have a private business running as an island within the community with really no, to my understanding, really no operational performance standards or expectations back to the community. Personally, I find it frustrating that to even consider a golf membership is now $75,000 investment, not even a capital investment, just a cash investment. But that's just my own personal bias. That's not something we can change. But that does concern me from a long-term standpoint about marketability of homes. If we're trying to sell homes in this community and buyers
Peter, that's
are.
time.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Bye-bye. Yep.
Natalie?
Yeah, obviously there are a lot of external risks what we cannot control, like climate or so, and probably the best risk management and it's account for unplanned cost, which could be driven by inflation. I lived through the big inflation in my life. Yeah, insurance market is another unplanned risk, but I would say that's like disciplined planning based on the data, based on the analytics, and again, it's something what kind of like prepare for unplanned cost would be based on the analytics and data would be important to deal with all these unplanned external risks.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Barb.
I don't have much to add to everyone's comments except, you mentioned fire management, and last year we had Easy Mountain Fire Department coming in and talk. I'd like to see that the council support having them come in and do a town hall. It was very interesting. And we do have some issues about who's going to clean behind who's responsible, so not needing the scrub behind our fences and things are growing this year. I think it'd be good for each one of us to learn more about what we could do in the future.
I'd love to see him talk to the superintendent of the golf courses, because there's a sprinkler system sitting at their beck and call if ever we get a brush fire.
All right, sorry, Kurt, did you want to respond?
Yeah, thinking of the growth piece, that's why I joined the growth committee. It's phenomenal committee. We're gonna make a really good neighbor for someone. And someone's gonna make a lot of money by being our neighbor. So when they develop that spot, they're gonna be able to say, hey, we're neighbors, they kind of. We sit and do nothing, they will derive 100% of the benefit by moving next. Now, by going out and being proactive, partner, we will never be land speculating, by going and buying land. And if we go and partner with the right developers, we say, hey, would you like to be in on Anthem, or how can we collaborate? That's what the growth committee looked at, is we can annex into Anthem. It does two things: it controls our neighbor. It gives us an opportunity to create a real boundary similar to the east side. So the east side kind of creates a boundary that way. I don't know that it would be the same on that side, but we get to dictate that with the right development ownership. That creates a boundary for people to come in to use their car. So I think there's a huge opportunity, and I think we have to be moving now.
Thank you. That's going to conclude our questions for the night because we've kind of run out of time here. So we're going to give each of you 1 minute to give a closing statement, and we will start with Bob.
This Bob.
The only Bob.
You don't start me yet. Okay. I'm all about, trying to smooth out our expenses, which should lead to not having to raise fees. And, there's a lot of ways I think we can do it. I chose, just as an example, just one way, if anybody is interested in what I did, to show that for the next 30 years, you're gonna have that fee. Now, the assumption was that the investment returns would equal rate of inflation. That's a pretty good assumption, and that's what the reserve studies people always assume as well. So anyway, if you want somebody who thinks differently, who likes to lob hand grenades once in a while, come up with different ideas, not accept the status quo. If you want the status quo, I am not your person. Right? I am not your person. But if you want different thinking, just look at it. Doesn't cost anything to just look at it. Buying the amenity, fans, the golf course.
Well, that's time. Sorry. All right, thank you. Marissa?
So we're all here because we love where we live, right? We love our community, we love the club, we love everything about where we live. I chose Arizona because I was tired of shoveling snow. And instead I get to shovel sunshine. So, again, I'm 6 months into I'm still unpacking boxes, believe it or not, but I love my neighborhood, I love my house, especially love our court. We do, fun things on our neighborhood, but, I'm running here for a volunteer. I love to give back. I work for a nonprofit. That is in my nature, is to give back and to get back to the community that I live in, and hopefully apply my work ethic and my experiences to this board.
Thank you. Fred?
I have always been a person who gives back. That's me and you're stuck with it. Having said that, I want to emphasize that with 4 new people joining the board this year, I believe we should rely heavily on experience and knowledge while allowing the opportunity for growth for more of us.
Thank you. Stephen?
I'm just pleased to be able to run. If elected, I would serve. Unlicensed,
All right, thank you. Steve?
An HOA board is vital to maintaining our community in a manner which we fully expect. As previously mentioned, we have 4 spots that are being filled and there's no incumbents. I stepped forward because I have the experience. I've been there, I've done it. I know all the players, I know our governing documents, and I know I can make a contribution.
Thank you. Chris?
I kind of want to echo a little bit of Bob as well as Steve, Fred. Status quo in some respects is good, but in some respects it's not, and we need to challenge the status quo. But I also like to come from an experience perspective as well. And I think it is important that at least some experience get elected to this incoming board. Both Steve and I have served on the board, served in various committees. So we bring that to the table. I'd like to say that I bring some of the status quo in this.
All right, thank you. Peter?
Hi, thank you. And I just want to start by thanking you for providing this forum tonight. I'm actually super impressed with all of the candidates and all the input and the questions from the field. So thank you. In brief, I'm intensely focused on inclusive management with an open door to all and providing access for input and enhanced communication to membership. I respect this will be a new experience for me, and I'm ready to learn how to be an effective member of this group. I have deep financial management and corporate board leadership experience that I think will help me greatly in that role. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Vitaly?
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for opportunity to participate remotely. Obviously, yeah, after COVID, we have new way to work, and that's not something new to be like people work remote jobs and so. Wish to be in Anthem more often, and yeah, obviously you will see me more often in coming years. At the random, I'm not a person who don't like snow, but yeah, you will see me more often. Yeah, as everybody here, I have vested interest to have community more bright, more interesting, and grow in a term of the like quality members and so on. Then I can bring to the board my analytic approach. I work with data, I work with decisions, and can bring other perspective as being on the like North State for their more than 2 decades. Obviously, yeah, not my experience dealing with snow shovel and all these contracts will not help to shovel sunshine. Thank you.
So thank you. Kurt?
Yeah, I think Anthem's a unique community, and I kept referring to it as one-on-one. I don't think there's another community like Anthem out there. I've just been in various parts of the country. So I think that status, I'm really excited. I think we had great stewardship and great leadership all the way until now. It's not pounded on the table saying, hey, we got to change a bunch of things. But I want to keep it that way. I don't want to wake up one day and get into a retirement community. I want to be in an all ages community, active community. I want to be a vibrant community. I want to see. You're okay. I want to be part of something that maybe my kid would want to move back to and be part of it. And I think that there's some unique challenges. I think I can carry on the same stewardship and leadership. I think that I can navigate a lot of those new challenges that will be in the next time. You're okay.
Thank you. Barb?
As you have probably guessed, I'm a doer, and I get things done. So as Carolyn has said once, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. And thank you, Megan and staff. I couldn't believe that we would get out of you before they should.
We're trying, so thank you. So that will conclude our candidates night. Again, just as a reminder, election opens on February 11th. You will receive an email from Election Buddy with your voting link and unique key. You will also receive a paper ballot in the mail. If you don't get either of those or have any trouble, please contact our office. We're happy to help you. Thank you to all of our candidates this evening.
When are the paper ballots going to be?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Peter and Vitaly. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
No, we don't have.